speelde hij ook 18 rondjes erin. Dus geen 21, maar 18.
Hey guys, welcome back to NorCal Cycling. With me again is my buddy from the Netherlands, Glenn. Welcome back, Glenn.
Hey Jeff, nice to speak to you from the rainy, locked down Netherlands.
Lockdown everywhere. Yeah, this was actually from a couple months back, though, before the full-blown lockdown. But it was a rainy day, and this is your interclub course. This is relevant, maybe, for some people who are out there doing some group rides or some training rides out in the rain. And I want to talk about how you navigate this course, because you do a fantastic job in the rain. It seems like maybe you've raced in the rain before on this course.
Yeah, it's raining a lot in Holland, and points are awarded in the rain also, though, so it's always relevant, I think.
Yeah, it's so much more of a position battle, and we're going to get into that. But I wanted to start off by talking about 1,100 watts up this hill already. So you had a really bad start. Tell me what was going on.
Yeah, I had to go pee for the front of for the beginning of the race, and I took some dirt in my cleat, so I couldn't get in my cleat, and yeah, that's why I'm in bad position right here.
And look at the gaps already over that hill. There's already gaps, guys. We're like 30 seconds into this race. And it's so important in any race, but especially on a technical course with hills, in the rain. Like, these are all reasons to be up towards the front, because that's where the action's happening. And like, I just feel your pain here. The very beginning of this race already being set back by so much.
Yeah, and especially the first round is just at speed. You have to feel the bike and know what corner you can go by which speed, and so it's hard. And especially if you're in the back and chasing hard to get to the front of the race.
Yeah, so we're gonna fast forward and see how you manage that, because like I said, you want to be in the top 5, top 10, up where the action's happening, up where you're an influence on the race. And while you're doing that, let's talk real fast just about this course again. And this is an interclub race, so you're going to see a lot of the same jersey. There's no teams here, right? It's all the same club, but that means I would argue it's even more competitive, because it's you versus your buddies, and it's you versus your teammates. So you really want to show them who's the strongest guy. And there are sprint points on offer, which are you currently leading the sprint competition?
Yeah, I'm in front of the sprint competition. And the general classification is the guy in the blue. He's leading the race, time-wise.
So, yep. So those are the two things that you're going for. You're going for both. You're greedy, Glenn. You want both the sprint and the GC competition. Yeah. You're going to do your best to take both by the end of today's race. So let's maybe cut forward a little bit and find out how you manage it. Okay, so Glenn, it's been about a lap and a half. You've made your way up to the front. It's cost you some energy, but here you are in the mix. Guy in blue on the left there is the GC leader, right?
Yeah.
And he threads the needle. He looks like he's going on the attack here.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen, right? Because one of your main goals here is to... Oh, thanks for the camera wipe, too, by the way. Appreciate the lens wipe. But yeah, you can't let him get away, right? Because one of your major goals here is to try to snatch the GC away from him, so you can't let him build on that lead. So but I appreciate your patience here too, because you don't want to just tow everybody up to that front group. That's not a race winning idea. So you're going to be patient, and you understand that in the rain, guys, technical corners become even more difficult to navigate, which means there's only one really good line you can take through that. And you're going to see Glenn take the front through this first corner. Still patient though. You're not smashing 1,000,000 watts yet, but wait until he comes to this next corner, which is even a tighter radius corner. And now, look at the power. 800 watts. This is the moment, which is smart, because to me, you're looking back and you're thinking, okay, it's all single file behind. If you really put in a big surge here, gaps will open up, and that's exactly what happens. One other guy follows you. Tell me about this guy right here, Skinny Legs.
Yeah, it's this guy. He's a talented young rider in our squad, and he understands, and he's high up in GC, so he wants to work with me, and he understands the threat the blue jersey has, because if they get 30 seconds, then it is going to be difficult. Yeah.
There's a reason that guy in blue is leading the GC classification, because he's good at sneaking away. He has a huge threshold. So, this guy in front of you with the Skinny Legs is another GC rider who is motivated for the same reasons you're motivated. So he was able to close the rest of that down. And this has created a selection of sorts, right? Like this isn't really a breakaway yet because there's like over 10 riders, but what's happened is you can see it in the rear cam there's gaps opening up, and all of the weaker riders who are caught out in position, maybe not quite as fit, they've all been dropped now. But at the same time, you've isolated yourself with the strongest riders in the race. So this is by no means like a breakaway group, but I would say it's like a split or like a selection with the strongest riders. Is that a good assessment of what's going on?
Yeah, I think the dynamic of the rainy race is that the strongest riders will survive the front group. It is just the fact that the slower riders are getting dropped because you can't get a good draft. The corners are more difficult. Rain is splashing in your eyes, so you can't fairly see good what's happening in front of you. So it's a matter of time before riders are dropping off the back.
Exactly. That's a good point. That's another thing I forgot to mention is, like, you know, if you're riding in the rain, you're not riding as close to riders. You see generally the groups are just not as tight and compact, which means it's much more of an individual effort. That makes the cream rise to the top, as they say, and all of these strong riders are now towards the front. So let's fast forward a bit and see the next move. All right, so this is a sprint points lap. Glenn, tell us what's going on.
You see me here on the wheel of the guy with the green socks, and he's attacking right now. And I thought to get a good draft to the finish, but he stopped this attack and forced me on the front. This is the worst possible spot to be in. And you see the two riders in the front. They were not a direct threat for my points classification. What he could have done, the rider in the back of me, is letting a gap and let me sneak off the front, because he doesn't contest the general points classification. So, but what he does, he gets on my wheel, and you see the rider behind him, who is obviously a snappy rider. He's just surfing the wheels and doesn't even get out of the saddle and snacks my 3 points away. And I got frustrated with him. I wanted to show him who's boss, and he got me, you know. So, yeah.
He made that seated sprint of 1,000 watts look pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because he timed it really well. Like, you were frustrated at him because he took advantage of you being out of position. And unfortunately, that is your major threat for the points competition, right? The guy with the knee warmers up there?
Yeah, exactly. And he did just the best job possible, I think, to...
Yeah, that did not... Sorry to say, Glenn, but that did not go your way.
No, and it frustrated me.
Timing was not good. But, hey, the good news is we have more sprint points on offer. We also have the finish, so let's cut forward a bit. All right, and shortly after the intermediate sprint, this counterattack goes. You can see sneaking off the front right now, which is pretty common, actually. It's always a good time if you're looking for a counterattack. Try to time it after an intermediate sprint or a preem lap is what we call them, because, you know, the riders on the front are really tired. But Glenn, you just fall back. This doesn't seem to bother you, and tell us why.
Well, just like you mentioned, you get tired from sprinting, so it's a good moment to get some rest. If it was the blue jersey who was attacking, then I probably chase it back or try to join it. But there's no need. It's up to the blue jersey to chase it back.
Exactly. Yeah. No GC threat up the road. The GC leader's right here in front of you. Let him do the work, right? He's the one who's wearing the jersey. He's the one who has to defend. So if he's concerned about that, you should be marking him and making sure that he doesn't jump across.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're about a half a lap later or so. And remember, guys, Glenn is not concerned with that group of 6 or 7, which is still off the front, by the way. Glenn has got his eyes locked on the blue jersey, the GC leader, because he's thinking he's got the obligation. And there he goes. So now the alarm bells are going off for Glenn. Because think about it, if the blue jersey jumps across and joins that group, that might be the end of the bike race. So Glenn's moved himself up into position, and dude, Glenn, you should have given us a lens wipe right here. Come on, man, you're dropping the ball.
Yeah, but I was busy with chasing the leader.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we'll give you a pass this time. So yes, commit some energy here because you have to, guys. Right? You're always thinking 2 steps ahead. It's like a game of chess. So Glenn has to follow this one and closes that down real fast. But you put in a pretty hard surge in pace there. And what's happened is now look in the rear cam. You have one rider in your wheel, that guy with the teal socks. But then you have this huge gap that's opened up, and now we're looking like there are now there's 4 groups on the road. Just to catch you guys up, there is the front group of 6 or 7. This group that Glenn is in is the first chase group. You have another chase group of dropped riders that Glenn just left in his wake because of that attack. And then you have a peloton of whatever behind. So this is racing in the rain, you guys. This is the way it usually works out. And this is why position is so incredibly important. And now it's looking more like a breakaway and less like a split. But as you guys are approaching this group of, you can see them now, of 6 or 7, you guys are in a group of 4, I think. So it's still a group of like 10-ish, maybe 8 or 10-ish riders. And what do you think? Is that still a little too big, Glenn?
Well, for this course, it is too big. Maybe if there were crosswinds and a wide road, then a group of 10 might work, of 8. But for this course, it's just too big. Riders are gonna conserve energy and all, so games will begin shortly.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's the way this usually works out. People always think like, well, if the breakaway's got 8 people, that's stronger than a breakaway with 4 people. But it doesn't always work that way. In fact, it seldom works that way, because what'll happen is, imagine you're a person in this breakaway group of 8, and you're like, I can't beat Glenn in the sprint because Glenn's really fast. So I'm gonna stop working and stop rotating in this group, because hey, there's 7 other guys that can keep riding and keep pushing the power and keep the speed high. So I'm just going to sit on the back and wait. Well, somebody else in that group of 8 is going to look at this one person and say like, well, if he's not working, then I'm going to stop working. And then now you have 2 people stop working, and then the third person, and then it just it spreads like a virus. But pardon the reference, but that's the way it works, right? So 8 to 10 is just too big. If a group of 4, everyone kind of has an obligation to continue working to make it be successful. Does that sound about right? That's the way racing works here, at least, Glenn.
Yeah, if you have a group of 4, then nobody can be on the back, because you need the power of all the four guys to stay away, and it's just not the case with the 8 with the group of 8 from 8 or with 10 riders, because that's just overpowered. And
yep.
People will play games with.
Yep. So you're still not content with this group. You're still on high alert. You're still thinking there's probably going to be a breakaway from the breakaway from the breakaway, right? There still needs to be another selection made, and let's see kind of how that plays out. And sure enough, you can see these gaps. Look at the rear camera. These gaps are opening up. Glenn finishes his pole. And there's a couple of reasons for this, like we mentioned. Part of it might be people are just sitting on, wanting a free ride, and looking at riders like Glenn or that big guy in the white who have a monster sprint, and they're like, look, I can't beat them, so I'm going to start skipping poles and saving energy. Part of it might be too, as we come through these technical corners, a matter of just confidence on the bike and experience. So this is kind of the result of the group being too big. What do you think, Glenn? What's going through your mind at this moment in the race?
Yeah, if we can drop some riders, the best is of course dropping the GC rider. Then everybody is obligated to work with me. But yeah, that's maybe a bit difficult. But making the group a bit smaller, that's always a good idea. A group of 4 is just better manageable than 8 on this type of circuit.
I always say this in my videos, but it's worth repeating. It's much easier to sprint from a group of 4 than it is from a group of 10. So, why not try to reduce it? Just time it right and use your energy wisely. And speaking of which, 600, 700 watts there for a moment. It looks like you maybe smelled some weakness on that climb, and you're going to see if you can force a split here. You're doing some big watts now down this hill. And it looks like it might be working a little bit. I can see some more gaps opening up. This guy is hunched over his handlebars in your rear camera. Looks like he's doing a lot of work. So it looks like maybe you're forcing a split right now.
Yeah, but exactly what I just mentioned. Just riding in the rain and on this kind of circuit is hard. And you see the guy here on the right of me. He didn't know we had a separation. So yeah, he destroys this mini break by not committing, and the chasers got a chance to hang on again. It's sad.
It was worth the commitment of energy. Your heart rate went up to 181, which is pretty high, but it was worth the commitment, because if you looked back, if you were paid close attention to the rear camera, you notice that the GC rider in blue was the one who had to close that gap. So he had to do just as much work as you did, if not more, because you guys did one clean rotation up towards the front. So I think that was still a smart move, but now it's time to kind of sit back in, reconsolidate yourself, and think about maybe the next move, because this is really touch and go from this point out.
Yeah, it will be like this the entire race, and try to drop some riders.
All right, another sprint lap, you guys, and Glenn, take it away. First of all, dude, you should have given us a lens wipe. Come on, man, you're dropping the ball here.
Yeah, but it's intermediate sprinting time, so you have to do it with this. And I wanted to smoke the guy with the knee covers. I was really frustrated with him earlier, and I wanted to show him who's boss, but I made the mistake by letting the GC rider in, of the leader in. He did a pull, and I don't know, maybe he was tired, but he was letting a gap, and I had to make from this point 4 or 5 bike lengths to win the sprint, and that's never gonna happen with the kind of sprinting I do. So I lost again from the guy with the knee warmers, and I got a little more frustrated.
If you're losing points to your rival, that's no good. And closing that gap, it's like it looked like if you had another 50 meters, you would have won that. You just need a little bit more space.
Yeah, it was for some longer sprint. It was perfect because you could have sprinted in the back wheels of the riders in front of you, but it was too short. And
the timing wasn't perfect. Can you make up for it in the finish? Let's fast forward a bit and find out. All right, guys, we are approaching 1 lap to go, and believe it or not, this group of 8 has actually stayed together. You guys kept on trying to attack each other. It never really worked out, and you've reached this point in the race where everyone's kind of made a truce. Like, all right, it's going to be a field sprint from this group of 8. But what happens is you see tree trunk legs there in your rear camera. Big field sprinter taking a sip of water there. He's waiting, looking at you. You're kind of waiting, looking at him. Everyone's soft pedaling, waiting for position. Great time for an attack, and then you can barely see it. But there on the left, there is a junior who gets the best of you guys. Tell me what's going on, Glenn.
Yeah, this is just such a perfect moment, and he gets his place in this race because he doesn't contend for the 19 years plus category. So yeah, he just left, and we never saw him again.
He waited. The speed is slow. It's 22 miles an hour. Like I said, all the sprinters are looking at each other. Man, that timing is so good. Guys, if you're not a sprinter, don't let the sprinters like Glenn and I just wait for the field sprint. Like, that's exactly what we want. You got to attack and put the pressure on us because it works. Like Glenn just said, that junior's gone. That's the last we'll see of him. He wins this race. So spoiler alert. But Glenn, you still have GC and you still have sprint points. And, you don't know that he's going to stay away, right? So let's see how this race finishes, because now you've positioned yourself towards the back, and let's cut forward to see how the sprint finish plays out. All right, guys, 1,200 meters to go. You have the junior still off the front. Things are not going very fast. Glenn, you're sort of in a holding pattern right now. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I want to just beat the guy with the leg warmers. Steam is coming out of my ears, and I try him to come up with something, but then Tree Trunks is attacking. And he got a bit of a bad luck because the GC guy is also attacking, and he didn't have all this momentum, so he didn't really surprise us with his attack. So we fall back into position, and we're gonna wait what happened.
Yeah, I like the intention that he had with that attack, because on a wet course like this, going early is a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's technical, and you can only take a certain line through these corners. But I don't know, 1,100 meters is just too far. And plus, like you said, his timing wasn't very good. He's kind of a big guy. He didn't really have that element of surprise. So, Glenn, now you're in the best position, I think. You're having more patience, but now we're closing in on 500 meters to go. Tree Trunks has been brought back. There he is. He's tired. He just spent a bullet on that attack. And now is your moment. This is the right timing. You always want to go long in a field sprint on a wet course. You wait for this quick right and this quick left. And look, even when you're on the front, you have the entire road to work with. You have to back off and go completely 0 watts.
Yeah.
Which means the people behind you are probably having to touch the brakes. If they're 2 riders wide, they're maybe even having to touch brakes. What that means is you get this head start of 3 or 4 seconds. And you just do this slow burn all the way to the line. You make up for those kind of botched intermediate sprints, and you just time it perfectly. You don't quite catch the junior. There he is. Congrats on the win to him. But what you do is you gobble up a whole bunch of sprint points, and you consolidate your lead in the sprint competition, right?
Yeah, but most important, I got the guy with the leg warmers, so my day was very good.
Sweet revenge. Yeah. You got him when it mattered most, because there's more points on offer at the end of the race than there are the intermediate sprint points. So well done. Awesome timing on that field sprint. That's how you guys do it in the rain. If you want a lesson, just rewind 2 minutes and watch how Glenn does that sprint in the rain. That's the proper way of doing it. You go early, you take awesome lines through those corners, and you give yourself every advantage as possible. Glenn, great having you on, man. Always is.
Thanks, Jeff.
And we're gonna have more of these. So let us know if you guys like my European footage that Glenn provides, and we'll definitely tackle more of these and keep you guys motivated through the off season.
Yeah, we have 2 more races to come, so stay tuned. More is coming.
And if you want to hear cool Dutch words like graslinke, then click like for the next video. Thanks, guys. Catch you the next one.
Bye.